ready to talk all things Chelsea, my friend?
Yes, I guess I am.
That's what you get paid for, right? Well, not always, but that's kind of that's your bread and butter, isn't it?
It's just such an uninspiring conversation at the moment, isn't it?
Okay, well, here's where we're at, Rory. 3 games into the Premier League season, you have a draw against Crystal Palace. There was that emphatic, mental game at Wolves where you won 6-2. And, of course, you kicked off the season with a defeat to Man City. We know there's been so much going on off the pitch. Before we talk about that, what we've actually witnessed in the first 3 games of the season, what have you made of where Chelsea are at?
I don't think we're particularly good. I don't think that we can get carried away with what happened against Wolverhampton Wanderers. I think, we battered Wolves. It really did go our way. But it's important for us to acknowledge that Wolves struggled last year. Gary O'Neill did a remarkable job getting them to the position that they finished. And they lost their 2 best players. We signed Neto, Kilman went to West Ham, and they were left threadbare. I don't know where it's gone so wrong for Wolves, because fairly recently I thought
they keep selling their best players.
They keep selling their best players, but at one point they were really aspirational, weren't they? At one point, Wolverhampton Wanderers, they had that Fosun money. They had the links to George Mendes. It looked like I genuinely believed they were going to win the Europa League at one point, and it's just gone wrong for them. And look, I think they have their work cut out. I think Gary O'Neill's done a remarkable job there. I think that he will continue to do so. I think that he will keep them up. But it's unsustainable what's happening there. So look, we've battered a fairly average Wolves team. Winning away from home is always significant. Certainly scoring 6 goals is always significant. But ultimately, we've beaten a team that you would obviously expect us to beat. We've then drawn at home to Crystal Palace. Like Enzo Maresca hasn't won a home game. And just through no fault of his own now, but he's not going to have any opportunity to win a home game until about October. Like, we just don't... It just doesn't feature. It just doesn't go his way. So we should have beaten Crystal Palace. It's a poor result to draw at home to Palace, particularly from a winning position. And, I mean, Manchester City just destroyed us, didn't they? It was almost symbolic of who we are and who they are, that Mateo Kovacic was running the show, scoring goals, driving through the heart of our midfield, watching Enzo Fernandez do his best to try and claw something out of Mateo Kovacic. The £250 million midfield that you spent was being ripped to pieces by Kovacic. Do you know what it represented as well? It actually represented, I think, watching Kovacic do that to Fernandez was almost symptomatic of how we've spent all this money. We spent over £1 billion, and we've actually replaced a better team with a worse team. So the team that's gone, we've sold a winning team. If you think about the team that left, the midfield that left, N'Golo Kante, Mateo Kovacic, Jorginho, I think that's probably a better trio than Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo, and if it's Lavia, I think that we've managed to spend. You can put. You've also sold as well. It was brilliant for you last season. That we've managed to buy a worse team for a lot of money than the team that we already had, the team that Clear Lake inherited. So I've got major problems with what's going on. I think the club are totally on the wrong track. I have no time for the ownership whatsoever. I think they're the worst thing that's ever happened to Chelsea. But looking at it strictly through the lens of football, through the lens of the manager and the players, I can't say that I'm particularly impressed with Enzo Maresca at all.
There was the last 3 months, 2 months, it's felt like all we were speaking about is the recruitment at Chelsea and the need to shift players. We know there's a big squad there, lots of players that were kind of pushed away, training with the reserves, if even that. A few of them were shifted on in the last couple of days of the window. I think the most high-profile one was Raheem Sterling, who's gone to Arsenal. What have you made of that and kind of the deal that's been arranged between the 2 football clubs?
I think Sterling is such bad business. It's bad for principle as well. Like Chelsea and Arsenal are rivals, huge rivals. We should never be doing Arsenal a favour. That's really important. Like, there needs to be a principle here. And I believe, maybe I'll be wrong here, but I believe that Raheem Sterling is a huge level player, big game player.
Still?
Yeah, I do. He's 29 years old, Sam. It's all very well for Enzo Maresca to freeze him out, but Raheem Sterling has already achieved, by the age of 29, more than Enzo Maresca will ever dream of achieving.
No, but that doesn't mean that just because he's done that, he's a guaranteed starter.
It's a respect issue as well. Like, who do you think you are, freezing out Raheem Sterling at 29? Like, no one knows who you are.
But you could argue his performances have dipped a lot over the past couple of seasons.
You could argue that Enzo Maresca's ability has dipped if it ever reached the level.
But he's the manager right now, and I don't think that it is the most outrageous decision in the world to not think Raheem Sterling.
I think it's a horrific. I think his approach to the Raheem Sterling thing was horrific. I think really, really stupid.
But he's in a tough situation where, isn't he? When he's got this ridiculous. He can't have 50 lads training with him, can he? Do you know what I mean?
No.
And that's why I feel a bit sorry for him, because you're right. He's an inexperienced manager, and he's come into this really bizarre situation where he's got essentially 2 first-team squads. There you go, deal with it.
Yeah, but what happened with Raheem Sterling on the eve of, actually on the day of Chelsea's season starting?
Well, I think the statement came out on the day, didn't it?
Okay, so on the eve or, a couple of days before. Raheem Sterling, the club admitted that Raheem Sterling came back from his summer holiday early. He came back from his summer holiday early to start training, to try and have a season, to try and re-establish himself in the England setup.
And by the way, I should make this perfectly clear. After performances last season, he should have come back early to work hard, because he was terrible last season.
Yeah, but that's not what happens. People can have bad seasons and still take their full holiday. He has decided to cut his holiday short and come back early, which I think is a testament to his professionalism and his also a sign from him to demonstrate quite how determined he is to have a big season. He's been told by the sporting directors that he's doing well and he's certainly in the plans of the manager, and then suddenly he's not in the squad. Think how big the squads are on a match day now. Surely the easiest thing to do is just put him in the squad. Just have him as an option. Instead of that, you make a statement, you embarrass him, and you leave him out of the squad altogether, making it unsustainable, making it clear that Raheem Sterling now has to leave. So, you now box yourself into a position where you have a player on $300,000 a week, over $300,000 a week, who now has to leave because of the way that you've handled the situation.
That's not Maresca's fault, though, is it? He's on $300,000 a week.
No, well, Maresca knows what he's on. Maresca knows how awkward it will be. Maresca is fully aware of how awkward it will be to shift Raheem Sterling and to make an enemy of Raheem Sterling.
Who's better, Madueke or Sterling?
Who's better?
Who's better right now? I'm not saying who's achieved more.
Who's in better form at the moment is Madueke.
Neto or Sterling? Fully fit Neto or Rory. The point I'm making is, Rory, I think you're being really harsh on Maresca here. I think if anything, he should be applauded for going into a really tricky situation. We know he's got we all know what's happening at Chelsea Football Club, and if he doesn't think Raheem Sterling is good enough to be part of his plan, which I don't think is an outrageous omission, I don't think he's handled this situation badly at all.
No, but I mean, to answer your question with a question.
Out wide, I think it's fair to say Raheem Sterling would be 6th, 7th choice best attacking player, you could argue, Rory.
I would definitely disagree with that, but it's very simple to go, who's better, Madueke as of the last 3 games or Raheem Sterling? I mean, the answer, Madueke. I could easily go, who's better, Mudryk or Sterling? And the answer's Sterling. And Mudryk's still in the first team squad. Mm-hmm. So it isn't simply a case of who's better, because if it was, Mykhailo Mudryk would never play for the club again, and Raheem Sterling would most certainly be around the first team. So with regard to how that one progresses, I think time will tell. But the reason why you're saying he can be applauded and I'm saying it's a bad error, time will tell. One of us will be correct. The reason why I believe it will be me is because I think Raheem Sterling will have a big moment, a decisive moment in Arsenal potentially winning silverware. And if he does, then it's an atrocious decision from Chelsea, because Chelsea should never, ever strengthen Arsenal. I thought this when we let them have Petr Cech on sort of a goodwill gesture. Because Petr Cech had done so much to Chelsea and he wanted to continue to do the school run or something, we allowed him to move to a London rival. We should have forced Cech to go to Paris Saint-Germain. Mm-hmm. We should never be doing Arsenal favours. And I think that Arsenal are in a very good position, a strong position, a position where they could win the league, a position where some would argue that they should win the league. Yeah, second twice, 2 points off. Improve the squad, improve the defence, most miserly defence. There's loads of reasons why they should win the league. One of the reasons why maybe they don't win the league is a lack of experience, a lack of know-how, a lack of picking up those points when it most matters. Do you know what Raheem Sterling takes into that dressing room? Mm-hmm. So much experience, so much know-how. So I think it's a really astute decision from Arsenal.
I think Arsenal got a great deal, certainly in terms of the way the wages are being divided. I think.
We end up paying Arsenal to.
Yeah,
we're paying Arsenal 100 grand. Yeah.
No, I'm saying from that side of things, it's been messy from Chelsea. But I just think the actual decision, because you've gone over, Raheem Sterling has done this, has done that, and everyone's going, he has won this. What the career Raheem Sterling has had is phenomenal. From a 16-year-old boy making his debut at Liverpool, what he's gone on to achieve, he's been one of the best English players we've seen in the Premier League. But I think right now, he's at a stage in his career where I definitely think he's on the downhill.
Perhaps.
So, Rory, I take your point about sending him to a rival.
But Madueke's had like 3 games into a season. He had a big game and scored a hat-trick, but you can't compare Madueke and Sterling.
But there's no doubt with Madueke, though, he's a young player who's definitely got a really high ceiling. Is that fair? And Maresca might think there's an argument that maybe Sterling is on the way down.
I think Maresca's really cowardly. I think Maresca has basically done what the sporting directors want him to do, which isn't the point of a manager. A manager is a manager.
A manager's responsibility
And allowing Conor Gallagher to leave isn't trying to build the best team at Chelsea. Allowing Sterling to leave isn't trying to build the best team at Chelsea. Allowing Trevor Chalobah to leave isn't trying.
I think you're really overplaying Sterling's importance to the Chelsea team, no?
No, but it's symptom. There are other examples within this that
Conor Gallagher's a good example. I agree with you on that. I don't think Raheem Sterling is.
Well,
how are we going to get top 4 now? We haven't got Raheem Sterling.
Well, in terms of trying to build the best team. Raheem Sterling is a better player today. This isn't about the past. As of today,
yeah, sure.
The better player than Mykhailo Mudryk. So if you're trying to build the best team, you want more first-team players that are better. Keeping Sterling makes sense if you're going to keep Mudryk. If it's truly through the lens of sporting brilliance, sporting ability, Sterling is better than Mudryk. But Mudryk is an asset that the sporting director will want to increase in value.
Yeah, of course, a lot younger as well.
And just an asset that they need to work. And I think the Enzo Maresca will have been brought in and told to make sure it works for Enzo Fernandez, which is another example of his cowardly approach, because Enzo Fernandez isn't a very good player. Enzo Fernandez is also not captain material, and he's been given that.
You keep saying cowardly approach. He's come in as an inexperienced manager at a football club, whereas you clearly rightly say he's got people above him who are making the decisions. People that run the football club, own the football club. What's Enzo Maresca supposed to do? He's supposed to resign and go, hang on a minute, I'm sorry. Getting rid of Conor Gallagher, oh no, I quit. What's he supposed to do? No, on a serious note.
No, I think
how's Maresca supposed to approach the situation when he goes into this massively overbloated squad and the owners go, by the way, just to let you know, we're doing this, we're doing that. I feel like he's in a tough situation here, Maresca. What's he supposed to do,
I think
Rory?
his responsibility is to have some approach and ideology of his own.
I'm sure he does.
But you can't, honestly, if you're trying to build the best football team and not just be a yes man for the ownership. If you're trying to build the best football team, you don't allow Conor Gallagher to leave, do you? You don't allow Trevor Chalobah to leave, do you? You don't allow Sterling to leave, do you?
But on the Conor Gallagher situation, right, we know that there's the whole PSR thing, right? That whole situation might have been taken out of Enzo Maresca's hands. He might have literally, as a new head coach, not have had any choice whatsoever.
This is what I'm saying, though. This is why we're coming.
You're saying he's cowardly, though. I'm saying
you're saying it's not in his hands, and I'm saying that he's the public face of Chelsea Football Club.
All these people above him. I know he's the head coach. It's his job on a day-to-day basis to coach the players he's got in front of him.
No,
but I'm not entirely sure that
his responsibility. His responsibility. Once you take on the hot seat of Chelsea Football Club, your responsibility is to create the best football team and do everything within your power to make sure that Chelsea compete at the highest level and win the highest level of silverware. He is not doing that because he is doing what the ownership want him to do. Sure.
So just we've got a break. I got 10 seconds. Please answer this. So you think it's as simple as if he on a Monday morning went into Todd Bowling to hi Todd, by the way, we're not sending Conor Gallagher. You think Todd would have gone, yeah, fine, no worries, and Conor Gallagher would still be a Chelsea player?
No, I think
exactly.
I
had no choice.
I think he should have had, but this is why it's cowardly. Come out and say that. Say he's been sold from underneath you.
He's not slagging off the owners, is he? 3 weeks into a new
job.
So
he's coward.
Come on,
why
Rory.
not? Why not?
You know that's not what managers do. That's not how football works.
Why not?
Do you really think he's going to come in and go Clear Lake Capital, Bowley, Egbarley?
Okay.
They have no idea what they're doing.
No, I don't think he's going to do it, which is why I'm calling him cowardly. I know he's not going to do it.
All right.
But the reason I'm calling him cowardly is because he won't do it.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.